What's up, home bartenders? Welcome to Rob's Home Bar. So earlier this year, I made 100 mules in 100 days. That's right, it was quite a journey, 100 variations on the Moscow Mule. If you're new to this channel, it's not a surprise that this is one of my favorite drinks. The majority of them were excellent, some of them were not as good, but I wanted to take a time to go through them all. I'm gonna go through my top 5 favorites, the top 5 worst, and then a few kind of honorable mentions, some weird ones along the way. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't seen any of the videos, or if you just want to rewatch them, because there were 100 of them, I will compile the full playlist of 100 days, 100 mules. It'll be linked below this description. Speaking of being new to the channel, I checked out my analytics and it turns out 90% of you are not subscribed. So, what are you waiting for? Go hit that button somewhere along the screen here and, subscribe to the channel. So in today's episode, as I mentioned, we're going to go back and review some of the mules that I made earlier this year. And we're gonna go through the 5 best, 5 worst, and the 5 weird ones. All right, so let's get at it. Starting with the top 5. So number 5 on that list is the Pina Colada Mule. So this is actually a creation of mine. I wanted to create a mule with some Pina Colada vibes. So on that one there, we used pineapple rum, we used a quality coconut rum, don't use Malibu, blah. And a few other flavors, and then the kind of secret ingredient in that one is the Great Gentleman's spicy pineapple soda. If you can't get it, you can actually just use ginger beer and a little more pineapple juice, but that spicy pineapple soda is amazing. After that, number 4 spot, we have the Winter Mule. I first saw this one when Vino did it on his channel last Christmas. It's got great Christmas flavors. It's got cranberry, it's got allspice, of course you got ginger beer, and he made his with vodka. I actually made mine with mezcal, and I thought it was that much better, but it is a really good mule to have around the holidays, so we're getting close to that, so keep that one in mind. That was amazing. At the number 3 spot, we have this guy that I'm drinking right here. Oh, amazing. So as I mentioned, we got Smith & Cross Jamaican rum. It is called Jamaican Mule. We've got some spiced rum because the traditional Jamaican Mule has spiced rum in it. Got some bitters. I think I used chocolate and orange bitters. And of course, then we have the ginger beer. And yeah, it is absolutely amazing. Oh, it's the Smith & Cross. It's so good. The number 2 spot, of course, is an Islay Mule, because if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I love smoky Scotch, Lagavulin being my favorite. So you're just adding that amazing Scotch flavor, that warm smoke and peatiness, and then you're adding that to ginger beer. It's just an amazing way to enjoy Scotch. Obviously, don't use a really expensive one, but I did use Lagavulin 16, and it was incredible. And in the number 1 spot, I don't think it's any surprise to anyone who knows me, but Mezcal Mule. You can tell a lot of my favorites are simple, straight spirit mules. You don't need, some of these like this have multiple ingredients. The Winter Mule had multiple ingredients, but my 2 top favorites, the Islay and the Mezcal, there's nothing fancy about it. It's just a Moscow Mule, swap the vodka for another spirit. In this case, we have smoky Mezcal. So once again, I do love smoky spirits. So my top 2, Islay, Scotch, and now smoky Mezcal. The Mezcal and tequila both work really well in a mule. I find that agave flavor with the ginger beer just pairs really well. But this one, on top of having that wonderful agave flavor, has nice smokiness. And Vita Mezcal is probably my favorite for mixing because it does have a really good smoke. Other mezcals, less smoky. I'm sure they'd be fine, but I recommend this guy to make your smoky Mezcal Mule. All right, so there it is, my top 5 favorite mules. And now it's time for Odin's Facts. Did you know that drinking a Moscow Mule out of a copper mug could actually be toxic? So apparently it's the combination, it's not even the alcohol, it's the combination of lime juice and ginger beer, which is causing a little bit of copper to leach into the drink. But don't worry, you'd have to drink about 30 Moscow Mules in quick succession to actually feel any of the effects of copper poisoning. Pretty sure the alcohol would get you first. So if you're worried about this, just get yourself a copper plated mug. They're usually made out of aluminum or stainless steel, and then they're plated with copper. No problem with those. But at the end of the day, you can stick with your copper mugs. Just don't nurse the drink. Try to finish it within 20, 30 minutes, and you'll be fine. All right, moving on to the worst mules of the list. Now, to be fair, I made 100 mules. I think about 90 of them, or 90, even more than 90 of them, I loved. They were all fantastic. Some of them were like, eh. For the most part, they were incredible. But there were 5, not so much. Okay, so number 5 on the list of worst mules is the Porn Star Mule. Based on the Porn Star Martini, so we have the same flavor profile. We've got the vanilla vodka, we've got the passion fruit juice, the passion fruit liqueur, and vanilla syrup. And then of course we simply added ginger beer to make it a mule. The issue with this one, I mean, it's the same issue I have with the Porn Star Martini. It's just way too sweet. If you like the Porn Star Martini, you'll probably love that mule. But for me, it's just a sugar bomb, way too sweet. Didn't care for it. Next up on the list, the chocolate mule. So I made this one during my 100 days. One day in there was Easter. So I figured, well, today is Easter, why not make a chocolate mule? I even garnished it with a Cadbury cream egg. And kind of two things. One, also very sweet. And secondly, the chocolate and the ginger. In this particular, I'm sure there's a way to pair those two things together where they're good. In this particular one, really didn't work out very well. The chocolate, the sweetness, the ginger, no, just didn't work for me. In the number 3 spot, we've got the macadamia mule. Now, I had recently gotten a bottle of Trader Vic's macadamia liqueur, and this stuff is fantastic. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's basically like, it's similar to an amaretto. Obviously, instead of almond flavored, it's macadamia flavored, but there's a toasty, smoky, really rich nuttiness to it that you won't find in an amaretto. It's really good. It just clashed. First of all, I think I used too much of it. I paired it with rum, but I think I used too much macadamia. I should have done more rum, less macadamia. But again, it was very sweet, and the flavors kind of clashed. In the number 2 spot, this was the only mule I chucked, the Fireball Mule. Now this was kind of a joke, a running joke in the cocktail community. So I had fun making that video where I chucked the mule. To be fair, I mean, if you like cinnamon whiskey, if you like Fireball, you'll probably like it. It's got a nice spice to it and whatnot. For me though, I mean, Fireball is just, it's crap whiskey and very artificial cinnamon flavor. I'm just not a fan of it, and it just didn't pair well in a mule. And the worst mule, and this is not just, because it was too sweet or whatever, it was just a terrible flavor, is the Midori Mule. I'm not a big fan of melon liqueur to begin with. Midori is definitely not my thing, but mixed or paired with the ginger beer, it was just god-awful. This is just such a clashing flavor. It's very sweet as well, which, as you can tell with my list of bad ones, mainly the sweet ones, I didn't like. But yeah, the Midori, don't do it. Don't try it. It's bad. It's very bad. And now it's time for another Odin's Facts. Did you know that the Moscow Mule played a significant role in reviving the popularity of vodka in the United States? So before the 1940s, vodka was a fairly unpopular spirit in America, but with the Moscow Mule's clever marketing, unique copper mug, and delicious taste, it helped pave the way for vodka to become one of the most consumed and popular spirits today, which is a mystery to me because, as Andrew from Angry Cocktails says,
vodka is bullshit.
Yeah, but anyways, try any other variation. Keep the vodka out of it. All right, our last lineup is going to be our top 5 weird cocktails, weird mules. These were not necessarily bad ones, they're just ones that have weird flavors. So, top of the list, we've got the Calimocho Mule. So this is based on another drink, another cocktail, which mixes red wine and cola. Then near the end of my, I used ginger beer pretty much throughout the series, and at the last few of them, I used a ginger syrup instead of using ginger beer. So for this one here, we had ginger syrup, and we had red wine. There's no spirit in it, just red wine. And then instead of adding soda water, we used Coca-Cola. It was kind of a weird clash of flavors. I mean, I like wine, I like Coke, but all those things together, kind of weird. So not huge. Next on the list, number 4 of the weird ones, we have the Ferris Mueller. This one was another weird one because the ingredients were out there. It had vodka, it had fresh mint, it had some muddled orange and muddled ginger, as well as ginger beer. So we're upping the ginger. But then it had like 5 ounces of cream of coconut. Now this is not coconut cream or coconut milk. This is cream of coconut. Like if you're familiar with Coco Lopez, it's what you use to make pina coladas. This is like, it's sweetened coconut cream. 5 ounces of this stuff. Like I totally expected this to be an absolute sugar bomb, and yet somehow it was still good. I mean, I still think you can, if you're gonna make this yourself, you can dial back the cream of coconut to like maximum 2 ounces, even 1.5 ounces would be more than enough. But yeah, the original recipe called for 5 freaking ounces, and that was just weird. But hey, it wasn't bad. It was very sweet, but it wasn't bad. Number 3 spot, we've got the Chilango Mule. This one used the weird ingredient in this one was sriracha syrup. So pretty simple, you just make simple syrup, you add 50-50 with sriracha sauce, you've got sriracha syrup. And it kind of creates just like a sriracha flavored barbecue sauce, because barbecue sauces are on the sweet side. So you're taking that spicy sriracha, you're just adding sugar to it, which kind of keeps the flavor, but tones down the spice and adds a layer of sweetness. It was actually really good. In a cocktail, it was all right. In a mule, it was all right. But again, an interesting one with that ingredient. And the number 2 spot of our weird ones is actually my own creation, the peanut butter and jelly mule, the PB&J Mule. So this one here is when I got a bottle of Screwball peanut butter whiskey, and around the same time, I made my own strawberry liqueur, and I figured, well, if you put the two together, you're basically getting the same flavor as peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So I was like, well, how would that work in a cocktail? The first cocktail that came to mind to experiment with was the Mule, so we made a peanut butter and jelly Mule. It's you know, it's not bad. If you love peanut butter and jelly, you'll love that drink. You love this drink. But for me, it was like the first couple sips were like, wow, this is interesting. It gets old pretty fast, I won't lie. Not the greatest, but hey, it's a fun one to make. And the number 1 spot for weird drinks on this list was the Joe Buck, because this one had mustard in it. Oh yes. Mustard, Dijon mustard to be precise. We're making a Dijon syrup. So basically simple syrup, add some Dijon. I believe there was a few other ingredients to it, but essentially a Dijon simple syrup. And we used corn whiskey. I got to use one of my favorite local whiskeys. This is Last Straw, and it's a cask strength corn whiskey and 64%. Yeah, so it's basically just corn whiskey, Dijon syrup. I think there was a few other ingredients, ginger beer, of course. And honestly, it wasn't bad. I actually enjoyed that one. But again, quite strange. The first time I made a cocktail with mustard. Let me know if you've made a cocktail with mustard before. Put it in the comments down below. Maybe we could do an episode, mustard cocktails. But anyways, there we go. There's the list. We got the top 5 favorite mules, the top 5 worst mules, and the top 5 weird mules. It was a really fun journey to make 100 mules. Don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon. I actually, shortly after, started doing 100 juleps in 100 days. 100 days, 100 juleps. And I actually had to stop that because we moved. As you can see, the new bar and everything, we moved, and a new baby, and things just got way too crazy. I will, for those asking, some people have asked me, I do intend to finish the 100 juleps. But it's gonna have to wait till next spring, mainly because my mint is all dead in my backyard. The mint died in the grocery store. I mean, yeah, I've got some mint here, but the grocery stores are running out. We're heading into the winter season. It's hard to get your hands on mint, and if you're gonna be making a julep every single day, I think I have about 70 days left, so for like 2 months, it's not happening anytime soon. So in the spring, I definitely will go back to the juleps and finish off that series. But in the meantime, guys, like I said, if you want the full list of mules, click that link down below and you can go watch that entire playlist of 100 mules made in 100 days. Make this one for sure. This is the Jamaican Mule 2.0. Get yourself a bottle of Smith & Cross because it's fantastic, and make this mule because it is amazing. And I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed those little tidbits from Odin. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Don't forget, guys, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, let me know what's your favorite Moscow Mule, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. C'est bon.